Hey everybody, it's Dave here from Dragonhill Games, and you're watching This Week in MTG Finance. As always, and before we get started, I want to thank MTG Stocks for allowing us to use graphical information for the purposes of this video. Well, Kaldheim is nearly on top of us. In fact, pre-release weekend is this coming weekend, and of course, we're going to have a bunch of box opening videos leading up to the pre-release weekend, so keep your eyes open for that. I'm surprised that Kaldheim is having such little effect on the marketplace. I mean, a few of our top 10 winners this week are because of Kaldheim spoilers we've seen, but most of it is just continued reserve list buyouts. Alright, let's dive right into our top 10 list, and we're going to start here this week with Sheltered Valley from Alliance. Coming in at number 10, Sheltered Valley is up 213% this week to just over $3. Actually, this isn't a terrible price to be paying for this card, considering it is on the reserve list. So cards like this is a filler type commander card, one of those cards you just kind of slot in to take up a land slot. Maybe not a focus of a deck, but there's a lot of decks that could make good use of Sheltered Valley, especially one piloted by a colorless commander. And those are appearing on the scene more and more often and becoming more and more competitive as time goes on. Sheltered Valley has, whenever it comes into play, you bury any other Sheltered Valley you control. Obviously, this won't matter very much in Commander. During your upkeep, if you control 3 or fewer lands, gain 1 life, and of course, you can tap it to add 1 colorless mana to your mana pool. Like I was saying, even at $3, this isn't a terrible price to be paying for this card. Up next, and in the number 9 spot, we have a reserve list card from Weatherlight, and that would be Bubble Matrix, up 234% this week to $20 even. Now keep in mind, this has been errated to say, prevent all damage that is dealt to creatures. This is a natural fit for commander decks piloted by Questing Beast, because one of Questing Beast's text line states that combat damage dealt by creatures you control cannot be prevented. Now this is nothing new, and I haven't seen anything from Kaldheim that directly affects Bubble Matrix, so this is probably just a continuation of reserve list buyout. Our number 8 winner has more than quadrupled in value over the course of the last couple of weeks. Oppression from Urza's Saga is currently valued at $44, and this is up another 234% this week. Of note, it has a 7th edition printing, which is also valued around the $45 mark, and this is not on the reserve list. We talked a little bit about Oppression last week. This is going to be a natural fit for any decks piloted by the brand new Terror Grid we've seen spoiled from Kaldheim. But Oppression is also a fantastic choice for decks like Tiny Bones, for example. In the number 7 spot, we have another card that's moving because of spoilers from Kaldheim. It's actually for pretty interesting reasons. It has very little to do with what's actually printed on the card or the intention of the card itself. Whim of Volrath is a rare from Tempest. It's currently valued at $22, and it is up 267% this week. So let's have a quick look at this card. For 1 blue, we're getting an instant that has a buyback too, and that's actually the important part. You can change the text of target permanent by replacing all instances of 1 color word or basic land type with another color until end of turn. And that's the part which is the actual intention of the card that doesn't even really matter. More so that it's a low cost instant that you can target your own permanents with, and it has the ability to buy it back. And the reason why this is on the move this week is because of a spoiler from Kaldheim, which would be Orvar the Allform. Orvar has a very important text box on it that states whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, if it targets 1 or more other permanents you control, you create a token that's a copy of one of those permanents. So as we can see with Whim of Volrath, we can pay 3 essentially with the buyback cost included to target one of our permanents, make a copy of it, and then of course we can do this as often as we have mana for. Pretty good deal to spend 3 mana to make a token that's a copy of one of your permanents. Coming in at number 6 this week, we have another reserve list card, which would be Krovikan Horror from Alliances, valued at $8. This card is up 300% this week. If your deck is based around a sacrifice type theme, it's always good to have options, especially in Commander. For 4 mana, we're getting a 2/2, and at the end of any turn, if it's in your graveyard with a creature directly above it, you may put Krovikan Horror into your hand. And of course, you can pay 1, sacrifice a creature to have it deal 1 damage to target creature or player. So like I was saying, if your deck has a sacrifice theme going on, it's always good to be able to get some value out of whatever you have to sacrifice. At $5, our number 5 winner is up 323% this week. Quarian Druid from Visions is a reserve list card that for 3 mana we're getting a 1/2 and we can pay a green and tap it to have one of our lands become a 2/2 green creature permanently. This card sees a little bit of play in decks like Gitrog Monster, but overall it's not that popular in Commander. Our number 4 winner this week is up 403% to $7. Desolation is an uncommon from Visions and it is not on the reserve list. Now, destroying your opponent's lands in Commander is a quick way to get yourself hated in your Commander group, but destroying those lands and then taking control of them seems like an awesome way to get yourself permanently exiled. And when you combine Desolation with the new Tergrid from Kaldheim, you can do just that. For 3 mana, we're getting an enchantment. At the end of each turn, each player who tapped a land for mana that turn has to sacrifice a land. If the land was a plains, then Desolation deals 2 damage to that player's controller. And of course, Tergrid says whenever an opponent sacrifices a permanent, put that permanent from that graveyard onto the battlefield under your control. Here we have another reserve list card in the number 3 spot this week, and that's Winter's Chill from Ice Age. Valued at $10, Winter's Chill is up 495%. Kind of an interesting card. In fact, it's a pretty cool one-sided board wipe if you're playing a snow-themed deck and your opponent happens to swing into you without any mana up. Winter's Chill is 1 blue and X, and you cast it during combat before defense is chosen. Now, at the end of combat, you destroy X target attacking creatures, where X is the number of snowlands you control. Now, for each attacking creature, your opponent can pay an amount of mana to avoid the oncoming blizzard. But timed just right, this could be a game-changing one-sided board wipe. Our number 2 winner this week is another reserve list card. Geez, I feel like I've said that about 100 times already in this video. Natural Balance is at $18.50 and it's up 507% this week. Essentially, for 4 mana, we're getting a card that says everybody has 5 lands. If the player has more than 5 lands, they have to sack down to 5, and if they have less than 5 lands, they tutor out basic lands out of their deck to get themselves up to that number. This might be an interesting way to counter the Lands Matter player in your Commander group. However, this actually does see very little play. And our big winner this week, up 867% to $14.50, is Ice Cauldron from Ice Age. And this card is as bizarre as they come. For 4 mana, we're getting an artifact. Now, we can pay X, tap the Cauldron, put a charge counter on it, keeping track of the type and amount of mana that X was, and we also exile a card from our hand. On a later turn, we can tap the Cauldron, add to our mana pool X, where X was the amount and type of mana we spent to put the charge counter on Ice Cauldron, and use that mana only to cast the exiled card. Seems like a lot of work and a really bizarre way to essentially be able to exile a card from our hand and store some mana. Nonetheless, Ice Cauldron is our big winner this week, up 867%. All right, before I get into cards I'm investing in this week, as always, if you're a subscriber, you know I want to thank you for your continued support. And if not, now's a great time to go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Over on our online marketplace at www.dragonhillgames.com, we have a fantastic deal on Kaldheim pre-release kits that include bonus packs and Kaldheim Commander deck sets. So if that's something that interests you, go on over to our website and check that out. You can find the link for that in the description of this video. I decided to have a little bit of a reserve list focus this week. It was actually a request from a subscriber. So we're going to start here with Hall of Gemstones. Now, I have recommended Hall of Gemstones in the past. In fact, I recommended it late last year when it was around $10. And today I'm recommending it again at $20. That's right. Even at $20, this card is a steal. It is absolutely oppressive in mono green decks. For 3 mana, we're getting an enchantment that says during each player's upkeep, that player chooses a color. And until end of turn, each mana producing land produces only that chosen color instead of its normal color. Now, obviously, this is fantastic in mono green decks. You just always choose a green, and everybody else only has green mana to spend. But even on their turns, they have to choose one particular color. So against any opponent who's not playing a monocolored deck, Hall of Gemstones is extremely oppressive. People are starting to catch on to this card, and that's why we see it creeping up over time. Get your hands on Hall of Gemstones now for $20 while you still can. Up next, we have Bosom Strip from Weatherlight. At $10, this is a fantastic pickup. And again, this is one that is likely not to ever get any cheaper than where we are today. For 3 mana, we're getting an artifact that essentially allows us to pay 3 mana and give the top card of our library flashback if it's an instant or sorcery. I can think of tons of decks that can make very good use of Bosom Strip, and it's a card that is going to become more and more popular as time goes on. And last but not least, we have our speculation play for the week. That's right, it's Balduvian Trading Post from Alliances. Currently valued at just $2.37. This is an excellent filler land, especially for mono red decks. When it comes into play, you have to sacrifice an untapped mountain or sacrifice Balduvian Trading Post. But you can tap Balduvian Trading Post to add 1 colorless and 1 red to your mana pool, and you can also pay 1 and tap it to have it deal 1 damage to an attacking creature. Like I mentioned, this is a fantastic filler land, especially for mono red commander decks. Alright, I really hope you guys enjoyed this episode of This Week in MTG Finance. If you did, go ahead and smash that like button, and we'll see you back here for all kinds of box opening videos, both this week and next. Bye for now.